Hi, I'm Steven Rothberg. I'm the founder of College Recruiter Job Search Site, where we believe that every student and recent graduate deserves a great career and that it should be easy and inexpensive for employers to hire them. I get together about once a month with two of our employees, Glen Handrahan and Ben Groves, to talk about kind of whatever issue we think might be timely of interest to potential customers, partners, vendors, whether that's employers, RPOs, employment advertising agencies, other job boards, etc. Um, this month we're going to have a bit of a discussion on some really cool experiences and discussions that Ben had about a week ago, and we'll take it from there. Glenn, before we get dive into that depth, maybe you can tell people a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Sure. Thanks, Steven. So my name's Glen Handrahan. I'm the sales lead here at College Recruiter. So I work with direct employers. I work with recruitment agencies, mostly US based. So we help them source candidates for early career roles, 0 to 5 years experience.
Cool. And then Ben, why don't you introduce yourself and then tell people where you were a week ago?
Does it make everyone insanely jealous who's been stuck in their office or watching this from
Totally.
home? Yeah, Stephen, apologies for knocking you off the spot for going as well. So I'm Ben Groves. I'm the publisher manager here at College Recruiter. I look after advertising the European markets as well. I've been in the job board space for about 15 years. I've had the joy of attending RecBuzz in its many forms over the years. And last week, it was taking place in Vienna. RecBuzz is one of a couple of conferences that take place throughout the year, which gives job boards a chance to connect with each other and to understand what's happening in different markets, some of the new ideas that are out there, some of the new technologies. And it's in a world where we're all trying to compete with each other. It's a really nice setting for people to let their guards down and just kind of say, look, we've tried this, it didn't work at all, or this has worked. Maybe not reveal all the secret sauce, but at least help people along the way so the whole industry can get better.
There's a lot of co-opetition going on,
Yeah.
right?
It seems to rapidly pick up after 7 o'clock in the evening. I don't know what happens, but secrets are revealed at times.
Maybe the occasional adult beverage figures into that. So the RecBuzz conference that you were at a week ago,
Yep.
maybe tell Glenn, me, people who are watching, listening, like a little bit about kind of what the discussions were. You led one of those discussions. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, so like if I start big and go small, at the time geopolitics was definitely a topic that everyone was fretting about, but it's kind of like one of the nice things about these conference setups. That's kind of the initial 2 minutes of any conversation, but then there were I think the themes across the conversation, the conference were things like data in terms of knowing your candidates, having their information, being able to work with them. Chris Foreman did a talk which has caused some controversy in terms of how it's viewed, in terms of if you have that data, how you can capitalize on it, and how ATSs and some of the larger players are going to be working differently with that data. If you don't have that data, where the opportunities lie to grab it. Matching was another big topic out there, like a competitive edge that's possibly going to exist in the future that's maybe not as important now. And like moving on to the expert table. So the expert table topic was about building out some programmatic network, and it's supposed to be an hour. We're going for an hour and a half.
Oh,
and we were still chatting away at the end. And it's quite unusual. So quite a few of the conferences take place in the US or UK. RecBuzz took place in Vienna in Austria, which is right over to the left and right hand side of Europe. And as a result, we get people from all around the world attending. And on the table, we had probably an 80-20 split between the US and the rest of the world, which is quite unusual, and it brings up different conversations. The one which like immediately kicked off is the understanding of a programmatic network and advertising programmatically, because I think For anyone advertising or watching this in the job board space in the US, you can understand it's talking about buying programmatically, building up programmatic networks. You're talking about taking jobs in that are then shipped out to other job boards who have their own unique audiences, so that you can gain access to that audience, even though you might have the inventory without having to access the audience yourself. Whereas for the European and the rest of the world, programmatic had a far wider meaning, which was far more about accessing like demand side platforms like Criteo and Trade Desk and people like that. And also another theme, like a big theme within the topic within the conference, was job boards being a gateway to social advertising, and that kind of fell within the expert table of how can you programmatically access social media to pull job candidates back in. So there's a really good chat that went in about that.
So, let me interrupt you for a sec, because I want to check in with Glen, because Glen, before he came to College Recruiter, was working at Appcast, right? Like the world's biggest job programmatic platform, right? My understanding, or the way I describe programmatic to people who don't really know what it is, or who just aren't quite sure, is it's basically computers making the decisions about like what job ad to run, on what sites, when it starts, when it ends, what the price or the bid or how much you pay, whether it's cost per click, cost per application. Does that sound right, Glen? Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, I think that's the gist of it. I like to use the term, it's kind of a hedge fund for your jobs, where you're keeping your eggs out of the one basket. It's kind of spreading everything out, using multiple sources, always using data, figuring out what's working, what's not working, right? Controlling your spend makes it easy to do that. So yeah, it takes a lot of the human element out of it, and just relies on a lot of algorithms for the bidding and placement.
So the humans basically create the rules and then basically say, okay, computer, implement. So you're not gonna be sitting there day after day after day checking job board A, job board B, job board C, or display ad networks, what's working, what's not working, and actioning changes. It's much more automated in theory.
Exactly.
In theory. So sorry for interrupting you, Ben. So interesting at the table also, that there was like this difference of opinion about sort of how a lot of Europeans see programmatic versus Americans. The topic that your table was focusing on, the building publisher networks, the way I think of that is, if you're, say, an employer, an employment advertising agency, an RPO, even another job board that's buying traffic, you're going to send, like, quote unquote, your jobs out to a group of other sites, so that they can put those jobs in front of their users, in front of their visitors, and those other sites become your publishers. Was that sort of view what the consensus at the table was? Like, that's what a publisher network looks like?
Yeah. So completely. It was once we kind of got things narrowed down to say, we don't have a week to talk this through and to plan it out. But yes, that bit there is a publisher network that you can access programmatically, and working with them via someone like Appcast is a simplified route in terms of doing that. Like one of the big topics that came out in terms of whichever channel people were going to be using, whether it is that publisher network or like a wider one, was like the job classification coming in. The idea that almost, if we were operating in a retail environment, you need to understand what the shoppers want who are coming in, and also the inventory that you have available to put into your shop as well. And you need to be able to join those two things up. So if you don't understand the jobs that are available with like the classification of those jobs, and one of the side talks we had was around how AI can help speed that through. But if you can't understand those jobs in the first place, you're not going to understand which job seekers are right, and then you're not going to understand the right publishers to bring into that network in the first place, because you don't want loads of publishers. You want the right publishers bringing in the right traffic.
Yeah. And when you say classification, you're talking about like occupational field, right? This is a retail job. This is a healthcare job. One of the things that I've seen over the years is that a lot of employers, when they send job boards like College Recruiter, a feed of jobs or whatever, they get that confused with industry.
Yeah.
Right. And you can have an administrative assistant working for an accounting firm. That's an administrative and clerical position. That's not an
Yep.
accounting position. So in order for the job board like College Recruiter to properly classify it, you want to look at the job, not the industry. Sometimes you get both. And that's helpful too. So I think what you're saying, Ben, is that if you're looking for engineers, you want to get that job programmatically onto sites that target engineers, not onto sites that target nurses.
Yes.
We love our nurses, but we don't want our nurses applying to engineering jobs.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah. And
I mean, they were the worries. They were like the big worries that people have are runaway number, like clicks coming through and irrelevant applications coming through. And how do you control for that? And how do you stop it happening? And it's kind of, when you boil it down, as you say, if you're getting those jobs onto the place where they've got the right candidates, then that's half the battle won, which I think like we do at College Recruiter. It's what we try and do in terms of the publishers we work with, give out the jobs to the right places. But that is, regardless of the technology, that's the bit which makes it work.
Yeah. And Glenn, the turnkey kinds of solutions, the Appcast, that Veritone Hire, Joveo, et cetera, they definitely have their place between job boards when job boards are buying traffic from other job boards. A number of them are also used by the advertising agencies, the RPOs, employers. Are you having conversations, or do you think you should be having conversations with ad agencies, RPOs, employers that are looking to use their own tech or to build their own publisher network? Hey, if they're already working with 12 or 120 or whatever different job boards, those are their publishers. Or do you think that they're better off using a network where it's built in, like an Appcast?
Yeah, I think you can go both ways. I think it probably depends on the size of the company. We've seen some larger other recruitment agencies buy their own solutions or create their own solutions, or maybe they were using an Appcast in the past. They've decided to use their own solutions. I think for most employers, probably it's better to try to use someone like a College Recruiter as a network already built, or someone else. But for the larger ones, especially where maybe they want to control their own data, they want to use that a certain way and not share that around, then it might make sense as well to kind of build your own tech, keep everything in-house, have a little bit more control where the jobs are going, and be able to manage that a little easier.
Cool. And I know we only have a couple minutes left, but Ben, before we leave off, maybe you can kind of summarize if there was like agreement, consensus, even just like, no, there was a real split opinion at the table about where the job boards, like how did they land on an answer, if there was? Did they agree that job boards should have their own networks, or the job board shouldn't? Was it some did, some didn't? What did you find?
Yes, amicably we ended up without agreements.
Okay.
In terms of no one ran away going like, yes, we have solved everything here. But like the stand-up thing around the table was at the different level people were operating in terms of accessing it. I think there was agreement that everyone wanted to be able to access new sources of candidate traffic, and they understood that other places, for natural reasons, can bring in candidates that they wouldn't be able to bring in themselves. So that was accepted, but there was levels of running everything from a spreadsheet, and kind of like a very basic sending out feeds and tracking things through in a very manual way, through to completely automated, very large, multi-billion-dollar organizations who, if they don't have the robots running it soon, I wouldn't be surprised. So different levels, everyone wants to achieve the same outcome though.
Yeah, and I think realistically the goal should be to get better, not to need perfection. I love the expression that perfection is the enemy of progress. And so, if you can take a step forward, you don't have to win the marathon, but it'd be really good to get started. Well, Ben, thank you for sharing. Glenn, thank you also, and we'll look forward to seeing you maybe in May for another one.
Thanks,
Hey
Steven.
guys.
Cheers, guys.